down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Oh, shuck it ducks. We're back in the studio with Pat Poynton. Oh, creative genius in the local Oklahoma City market. If you don't know him, you're missing out. On the radio show for 12 years, helping real estate investors grow their business or portfolios, helping people with IRAs that are not getting the return that they deserve from their hard work and using private money. We are back with Pat Poynton, and him and I were talking just recently off radio. Why is Pat on the show? Why am I doing the show? Is to help people. And I think that's the ultimate goal. If you want to be successful in real estate and profit and do well, and there's nothing wrong with being rich or being wealthy, but you got to help other people do it. So what's the Zig Ziglar quote that you just said?
Well, it's one I've used for a long time, and Zig Ziglar said that you can get anything in this world you want by helping enough other people get what they want.
Yeah, I like to say, I'll help you be a millionaire, you help me be a millionaire.
Well, almost invariably, that's what will happen.
Yeah, the more you and one thing I think, the more people you help, the more return that you receive, the more people that you reach. And I think that's what's so powerful about radio. And just for you, for 12 years, I mean, every Saturday, what is Saturday morning, right?
Yeah.
Every Saturday morning, getting in your car, driving across it's snowing and freezing. You're not getting paid. You're paying people to record you and sit behind a mixer. And, people don't know what it takes. You got to give. So, this episode today is called Options. We all have options in life. You have options to get up early. You're negotiating with yourself, but you have an option to be successful or to be not successful. So today we're talking about options. All right. So there's options in the stock market, right? So you can buy options like, for example, if a stock is at a certain number and you think it's going to go down or up, you can buy an option to freeze that stock.
For future delivery.
For future delivery. So now let's go into, and you kind of smiled earlier about options. And so why do you like real estate options? And give us a couple examples of how you use real estate options.
Okay. Well, they're just another tool. And what you have is kind of a mental tool bag of ideas that will help you from time to time make a real estate deal that other people didn't figure out how to make. And an option is one of those tools. And what an option is really is an agreement for a small amount of money to buy something at a later date for a fixed amount of money.
Okay, frozen number.
It's a one-page document.
Okay.
Very simple. Now, where I've used them a lot is particularly with land deals. I do a number of real estate subdivisions. And I'll buy a piece of land, and often I'll put it under option. And let's say it's a piece of land worth $500,000. I may put a $5,000 option down on it for a year.
And then you have a year to try to sell it for more than $500,000.
Right, or I have the option to get it done. Now I've got it tied up.
Or get it funded.
I've got it tied up. Can't be sold to anybody else. And while I'm doing that, now I can do the zoning. I can do the preliminary plats. I can take that stuff to the finance people or the bank or whoever I'm using and see if they'll loan me the money.
And you say you have it under contract, or do you say
I have it under option? It's a binding contract. They cannot sell it to anyone else while I've got this option.
And this is socially accepted or business accepted with the bank.
Oh yeah.
And they don't mind an option. It's not a contract.
No, but now what will happen is, assuming that they make a deal and I'm ready to sign the papers, part of that deal will fund the deal and pay the buyer off.
Sure.
But what we're doing here is we're getting all this preliminary work done. Like a subdivision, you've got a lot of preliminary work before you have anything to sell.
Ooh, I just thought of something. So instead of getting it funded, then you're burning up interest and time for a year, 6 months to get the architects and get the road planted and all that stuff. It only costs you $5,000, and you can walk away from the deal.
Right. Now, let's say here's the problem. Let's say I do all this work to your property. But about halfway through this work, somebody comes along and offers you more money, and you take his deal, and I'm just wasted my time and my effort.
Well, they can't.
They can't with an option, but they could have otherwise. See what I'm saying? But the option, I tied them up to where they couldn't go anywhere else, and I knew how much money I was going to have to pay them.
Do you calculate what you think it's really worth? Is it?
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
is it so it's let's talk about this $500,000 piece of plot of land, whatever, a couple acres, 10 acres, 20 acres, whatever.
It'll be more like 100 acres, but
okay, so 100 acres. So can you calculate right out the gate it's worth more?
Yes.
Like how do you?
Well,
and then do you try to, if you broke it down, like if you sold them in blocks of 10 or?
Let me just give one I actually did. Subdivision. The name of the subdivision was Pheasant Run. It's in Choctaw. They're 1 acre tracts. There were 64 of them.
So 64 acres.
That was actually 80, but by the time you did the roads and all, there were 64 1 acre tracts.
Okay.
Okay, I knew I could sell them for $8,000 to $10,000 a piece. I knew that it would take $150,000 to buy the place.
All those acres?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's been a while ago, but it was one I did this way. Okay.
68 or 80 acres.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
150.
All right.
That's
what
a
I
deal
did
of a lifetime.
is I paid them like $5,000 option.
Okay.
I would pay them the balance of their $150,000 in 2 installments. I'd pay them $75,000 cash and get half the property deeded to me immediately.
As soon as you came up with the 75.
Yes.
And why'd you do that?
Because I couldn't borrow enough money to put all the streets in and all. I was too poor at the time.
So let me get this straight. So you got this under an option contract.
I took
and
an
you
option.
started paving the way.
No.
Okay.
I bought it under an option contract. Then I went out and got the surveyor to do the plan,
Cut it up.
do the plots, and get the city to approve it and whatever. I took that to the bank.
How long did that take?
3-4 months.
Okay.
Now, while I'm doing all that, I do my market research on what 1 acre tracts in this area will sell for. I knew that about what they would sell for, but I got me some hard data to take to the bank to say, look, this one over here is selling for $8,000 an acre. This one over here is selling for $10,000 an acre. I'm in between.
So you had like
so I got my
CMA's
ducks.
comparative.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you work with a realtor at that time?
No, I don't. I do it myself.
All this is by yourself? Okay.
Okay. Now what I do is, in this case, I said, okay, I'm going to give you $75,000, and you're going to give me 40 acres of it, split right down the middle.
Is this the 12-month window, or is this like somewhere after you've got?
That one was, I think I might have had 18 months. It was either 12 or 18. I don't remember.
Okay, but you did this like 6 months into the deal after you've done all the hard.
I did this up front, and my agreement was when I get ready to close, I will close on half of it. The other half I will make payments on a yearly basis for up to 5 years, and I will give you the $75,000, and I will make. If I don't close on the other half next year, I'll pay you $5,000
for an option
for the other half to go another year. So what I did is I split the 150 into 2 manageable pieces. I borrowed the money, I closed on the first half, and I put the street in. Now I had lots to sell.
Okay.
Then when I got that pretty well along, I bought the other half and put the street in it.
Do you get with a builder during this time, or are you the builder as well?
Well, I build, but I also sell lots to other builders.
Okay.
I only build enough as a rule, to stimulate the development. And when I get
homes?
5 or 6, when I get 5 or 6 other builders in there, then I quit. I don't want to compete with my builders. Right. I would rather sell lots than build.
Because it's
easy,
safer,
fast. I may sell you
risk
10 lots, and I can do it with 1 sheet of paper.
Right, and you're not dealing with tons of contractors.
I don't have to do any of that. It's easy. I like it. But normally at the start, I may build. Like in that particular development, I think I built 10 or 12 of the 64 houses.
And you profit on those?
Yes, that's a whole different deal. You treat that just like you were
like a separate
business, right?
Okay.
But anyway, the point was I tied the whole place of land up in such a manner in that case that I actually would break it in 2 pieces. But I tied the whole thing up, got the plat done on the whole thing, and then I financed half of it, then I financed the other half of it. Okay. In the meantime, I had the whole thing tied up. And in about a 3-year period, I consumed the entire development.
And it all started with a $5,000.
Right. Now, let's say I couldn't have ever financed it. The market had changed. Nobody wanted to loan me the money. I was afraid to do it or whatever. I can eat my $5,000. That's all. I walk away.
And this was a while back, but what was your ROI? I mean, huge on 5,000, but.
Well, it wasn't on 5,000. It was on the 150. It was on the streets.
But he originally only took 5,000 down.
Yeah, but I'm saying when I got through with the development, I probably had.
Oh yeah, of course.
350 in it, 300 in it maybe. I probably had 100. No, probably about 150
on the land,
and then about 150 in the streets and surveying at that time.
So it's 350,000.
And I sold it for probably more like 640.
So how much? Let's look it up. I got a calculator right here. So you have 68 units.
And 64 lots.
64 times what? What was the number?
They were 8 to 10,000. So let's just call them 9.
Okay, which would be $576,000.
Okay, you take 300 away from that.
Okay, 300. You said 350.
Yeah, 300, 350, whatever.
All right, we'll say 325.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, that's $250,000 just on the land development.
Right. And on the 10 or 12 houses, I probably made an additional
$40,000 a house.
No, I wouldn't have made that back then. I would have probably made 15 a house, 12 or 15 a house back then. So I would have made another 150.
So close to $500,000.
Yeah,
not bad for a 3-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
So you listen.
I got it all done I got it all started for $5,000.
So $500,000 divided by 3, that gave you $166,000 roughly a year.
Right.
Plus a lot of tax deductions, relationships built.
Well, but what I basically did was I didn't have all this money. Now, when I had an approved plat, the land is suddenly worth a whole lot more because something can immediately be done with it, whether I do it or I sell it or whatever. So I needed to tie it up till I could get it to a point where the bank would loan on it as a subdivision rather than loaning on it as farmland.
Did you sell the lot, a few lots before you went to the bank? Like kind of like put a sign up or two?
I don't remember. I sold some shortly after I started putting the road in. I can tell you that. I don't think I did it before I closed on the first half, but I think I did it before I had the road paved.
Have you ever thought about doing like HOA? Like a neighborhood association?
I don't want one. I want to turn it over to the people and get away from it as quick as I can.
Right. I mean, so have you driven by the neighborhood?
Oh, yeah. It's a nice neighborhood. My mother lived there for a long time.
That's so cool.
Until she died, actually.
I mean, it's pretty fascinating. Did you name the streets?
Yeah. I was in a bird phase at the time. The name of the addition was Pheasant Run, and so one of the streets was Falcon Way, and one of them was Pheasant Run Drive. I mean,
it just sounds so easy.
And I had another addition I still have called Whippoorwill Wood that has Ravenswood. And
so if I Google this up right now, Choctaw, Whipplewood, whatever wood, it will pop up.
Yeah, it will.
And Pat Poynton created this at a $5,000 one-page assignment contract.
I believe it.
Turned that into.
If you look up Pheasant Run, it'll say Poynton's Pheasant Run on the plat.
Wow, that's awesome.
And
I don't want to waste time getting on Google, but you can do it. There's some people out there that are kind of.
But those are the kinds of things you can do.
Wow.
Now, I'll tell you a better one I did one time. I did it with $500 option.
Okay. It
was a small piece of land, about 30 acres.
Okay.
And I sold it out in about 26 lots. I think about 26 lots, okay? And I did the $500, and then I went to the surveyor, and I said, I'll pay you double what the rate is, but I can't pay you until after I get the plat filed. Well, he knew my dad, and he knew me, and I was young, and he said, okay, I'll do that. So he did the preliminary survey work for me to get the plat.
What's the cost usually for that?
Oh, in this case, it would have probably been $3,000, but I didn't have it.
So it's about $3,000 to do a whole division?
That was in that you're talking about. I'm talking about something that was done 20, 30 years ago. I'm not talking about something done yesterday.
I'm not going to go do this. I'm going to tell you right now. But hopefully someone that's listening to the show can be inspired.
Anyway, the point was I got him to carry it. That's what I'm saying. Then I knew exactly what the paving was going to cost and everything. As soon as I filed the plat, I borrowed the money from the old Fidelity Bank for 100%. By that I mean for the land, the paving, the surveyor, paid them all off. Well, while I'm waiting on all that to happen, I go to some builders I know named O'Hagan, which are still some of their family steel bills. Anyway, I sold them all but 6 or 8 of the lots. I built on 4, and I think I sold 2 or 3 others to a guy named Terry Castleberry, and he built on them, and that's it. But my point was, the day we paved the street, all the lots were sold.
Cool. All right, that's another great story. All right, let's talk about an option in like rental property or flipping a contract or something else.
Okay, let's say that you feel that you've got an opportunity to buy something that you can sell quickly.
Okay. Like this house I have right now.
Well, okay, you could have paid an option to purchase this house rather than a contract to purchase it. And the option would have given you the right and the exclusive right to purchase it for a period of time for a certain period of money. So let's say that option said you had 6 months to close on it at $50,000.
All right. So in this case, I could say, look, I'll give you $38,000 for a $2,000 assignment. I mean, $2,000 option contract, But that $2,000 goes towards your payments.
Exactly.
So I could say 3 months, and then I have 3 months and get the key, per se.
Exactly.
That definitely save a lot of stress.
Now, if you couldn't sell it, you could hand them their key back, say, I'm sorry, I tried. You can keep my option money. That's the limit of your liability.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could say, let me give you another $1,000, give me another 3 months, and see if you could persuade them to do that or whatever. It's open to any kind of negotiation that you'd like to make out of it.
And of course, at any time you can walk away, usually for the buyer.
Right. Now, normally where it's used is something where you've got a pretty long lead time to get it ready to sell. That would be raw land. That would maybe be a commercial property where it's going to take a while to get it closed and financed or whatever. Those are the kinds of places where options work. Now, I'll tell you another place. My dad did a bunch of options years ago. He was living in Dallas, and he went through nice neighborhoods. I'm talking about neighborhoods like Edmond, but we're in Dallas, but like that.
Okay.
And he had 5 $100 bills in his hand.
Okay.
And
$500.
he said, I'd like to buy your house, and here's $500 for an option for 12 months on your house. Now, most of them wouldn't do it, but he optioned 35 or 40 houses that year, and of them, he sold probably 20 of them. And
what, were they willing to sell, or he just knocked on doors?
He just knocked on doors and said, I'm willing to give you an option on your house. Y'all think about selling it. I'd like to put an option on it. And
well, we want $200. Okay, I'll give you $200. Here's $100, and then you go and sell
he
it.
Gave him $500,
and then he went and marketed it.
He wanted to buy it for $190.
Okay, and then he went and marketed it.
He went and marketed it, and he sold it for $210.
So he
kept
20?
the 20.
Yeah, minus $500.
Minus $500.
So it's almost like kind of that's interesting.
And he just knocked doors, and he said what happened was I had more houses than I wanted. He said, I'm sitting on 15 or 20 options out here in a really good part of town. And he said, I sell 2 or 3 of them and I make 20. I sell 2 or 3 of them and I make 18. I sell 2 or 3 of them and I make 12. I sell 2 or 3 of them and I make 6. I have 2 or 3 or 4 of them that I don't sell at all, but I'm still got
down
a pretty
$500.
Pretty good pile of money left over.
Sure. Interesting. There's so many creative ways to make money.
But he said when I knock doors like that, he said, I never made anybody mad. He said, I mean, I'm trying to give them money.
Yeah.
But he said, I had several people mad when I sold their house because they took my money thinking I'd never be able to sell it. And I did, and they had to move.
Sure. That's awesome.
But he said, that's just the name of the game. They wanted my money. They entered my option.
All right. Well, that's today's episode is on options. If you have done an option deal before, text us. Let us know. Text ASK to 545454, and we'll cover that. Anyway, it's a pleasure to again rock and roll with the local legend Pat Poynton. If you have an option, hey, you want to sell a house on an option, and you know there's some equity and you need to move, call this number
405-479-0064.
One more time,
405-479-0064.
All right, whatever you do in your life, go buy assets and provide for your family.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch Meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.